welcome to the
G
Patch
Fuel.
Podcast. Damn it.
Ryan, you have to say you're gonna start. You can't just jump in, bud.
No, but in his defense, that wouldn't work. We would still just interrupt him.
Well, now you're going to.
Yeah,
now
it's a plan.
That's getting ready to do it.
But
I was talking about G Fuel. I wasn't planning on interrupting shit.
That's just the intro now. Matt used that intro as a start point, and all this can be lead in.
This is a bad lead in.
That is a bad lead in.
So that's what I said.
Hello and welcome to Day One Patch Podcast, episode 326. I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. We got Tim Spence here.
Where?
Wherever you are.
Uh-huh.
Matt Lawrence.
I've never been here before.
That'd be scary, eh? Jesus.
Who are you people?
Imagine I'm talking to you during the pre-show, before the mics come on, test the mics, all the rest of it. You hear my voice, and then disappear, and it's like Matt Lawrence is here, and then just another voice comes on and does the show as me.
Scary.
That'd be awesome.
I would assume you had some sort of voice modulator on or something.
It'd be great if there was a webcam involved though too. It's just someone else and just staring at you all.
Oh my god. And Adrian Petty. Some of the top stories this week include we got an update on what the E3 is planning, or rather what the ESA is planning for E3. It was canceled last year, but there's talk of a all digital E3 this year. Potential UK console scalping ban. The bill has actually been put into motion there. We got a bunch of casting news this week as well. So we'll talk about that. Casting for Borderlands and for The Last of Us. And then, unfortunately, some more bad news for CD Projekt Red, who has now suffered a cyber attack and had some of their files sold on the dark web.
Cyberattack 2077.
Jeez.
Oh.
I'm sure someone else has made that many times. We're going to start with what's new. Matt Lawrence, what's new with you?
Me?
What's going on with you?
Nothing I'd like to talk about. Hopefully somebody gets that reference, but
undoubtedly,
I hope someone in the audience does. But pretty standard gaming week, I suppose. Doing a little bit of the Fallout 76. Been delving into building for a bit. I haven't built in a while, so I did that a little bit earlier in the week, specifically using the shelters because I'm waiting on the camp templates or the camp layouts or whatever the hell they are, where you can have multiple camp templates sort of saved up and you select which one you want to load in with or which one you want to have at the moment or however that's going to work. We don't have all the details, or at least I don't. So I'm waiting for that to build my actual camp, but I thought I'd kind of brush up on some building skills, and I haven't built really in a shelter at all, hardly. So I built a little restaurant and stuff like this. I haven't fully furnished it and whatnot, but still kind of messing around with it. I got tons of supplies, so it could just sort of a may as well. And I'd already completed the season, as I think I already said. So I was kind of doing that quite a bit. And then just doing my daily op, of course, sort of doing that every day, trying to get the old Brotherhood Recon armor and get some script to spend to try to gamble effectively to get the Brotherhood Recon armor in unyielding with a couple of good rolls. That's good. So that's what I've been doing. Played a fair bit of Watch Dogs, actually. I usually just play for a little bit at the end of the night type of thing. So playing a fair bit of that off and on. Usually I only played it for like a day or two in the week, but I've kind of played it just for a couple hours here and there for maybe 3 days this week or so. And I'm getting pretty far. I'm still finding new NPCs, which is like really crazy. So the different boroughs actually does really lend itself to the different sort of roles that people have, like the different jobs they have, the different skills they have as a result of those jobs. Like I was in this one area, I didn't even realize it was some sort of government area, I presume, because there was just politicians everywhere. I walked into this sort of like, it's sort of like a really high class, but like eyebrow raising tech company. And I walked in there and found a spy, so that was pretty cool. And he had like a traditional sort of spy car, like a James Bond sort of Aston Martin looking thing, like an older one. But there's still I'm enjoying the game quite a bit. I will say that like I am reaching a bit of gameplay loop fatigue a little bit. So the gameplay loop has been they tell you, hey, you need to, take this person out, hack this file, hack this, hack that, or take these files out, or photograph this evidence, or whatever. And basically, the gameplay loop is they tell you to go someplace. You go to that place. There's a little icon on your objective. You go there. You hack it, or you take it, or you do whatever. And usually, it's via you sneaking around in sort of traditional sort of Ubisoft stealth, and then completing some sort of hacking puzzles. Sometimes it's with using a spider bot or a drone to sort of go through a really difficult maze, that's within the infrastructures, the bowels of the building. And then you sneak in and hack this thing. So that's sort of become the gameplay loop, where every single time they tell me to go someplace, it's just sort of, you go someplace and you do it. Now, I will say that I have been doing a lot of the side stuff, which is potentially why I've hit the fatigue, because last night I did maybe an hour or so of the game, and I just wanted to do a mission. So there's different factions in the game, and I haven't met the one faction yet. And so I was like, you know what? I kind of want to get acquainted with these people. I've just been sort of beating around the bush and not doing this mission for whatever reason. And so I went to go meet them, and there was a stupidly cool mission, actually. I'm not going to get into it because it's definitely spoiler territory, but it's really, really wacky. It's spooky as well. It's pretty scary, and it's really well thought out in the hacker world. It's not just sort of a normal situation, if you will, and then but by the way, it's on a computer, or by the way, hacks. It's actually based around someone that understands tech and understands what they're doing. So it was a really good mission. So I'm thinking that maybe the gameplay loop will not be as fatigued if I just continue with main stuff. So that's where I'm at. I'm at the point now where whenever I jump on, I'm probably just going to do a main mission, just because I have built my team out really well, and I have sort of somebody in each sort of speciality that I need anyway. I have all the different uniforms and different disguises that I need, at least at the moment. So that's where I'm at with the game. But yeah, I'm still enjoying it. Definitely going to beat it, which is good. I was kind of worried when I started getting a little fatigued, but that mission sort of reinvigorated me. So I'm hoping that now that I'm doing the main missions, the monotony of it is pretty much broken up. But other than that, a little bit of Sea of Thieves with you guys. We're making damn bank. We used to play, and we used to just do the voyages, because that's kind of all there was. There wasn't any bosses other than the voyage bosses. There was ghost ships, and there was ghost ships, of which they were only galleons when we played, or at least as far as I remember, only galleons when we first got into it.
I want to get into more of the Tall Tales. I haven't really done any of those except for the one.
I've done all of them but one, but I will redo them again.
Yeah, so that's the thing that Adriano and I did. So basically, we did the voyages and whatever. That was the bulk of our time spent playing. There were forts and those type of basic things, but the game was pretty eh. And then I don't know, it kind of started improving, and then they added Tall Tales, so we came back because we took a hiatus. We came back, or Adriano and I did, and we we beat the first one or two Tall Tales. The one was a stupidly long adventure, Indiana Jones level adventure. I would put it on, but then we stopped again just to sort of give the audience a feel for when we played and didn't. So that's sort of where we're at. But
we did way more than two. We did
well, it was one storyline, right? It was a bunch of the tales, but it was we beat the one storyline with I don't know how to say this without spoilers, but we beat the first storyline they ever released there. That's an easy enough way to say it. We beat the first storyline they ever released, and I will say one damn thing. That was an adventure. Holy fuck. Whenever we beat one of those missions, it was damn, we freaking earned that. It was difficult. It was not easy to figure out, not easy to do without making mistakes. And then you're avoiding players like the plague. It was just, and there was no checkpoints at that time. So if you get screwed, it's got to restart.
We've had to restart a couple times because we almost get to the end and we get fucked. But now they have checkpoints, so you can actually resume at a later date, which is way better. But yeah, so I mean, I've been digging Sea of Thieves. I really like the last time we went and played, we did more aggressive stuff, attacked a couple players. Kraken attacked us, we fought back. Megalodon at the same time.
That was weird.
That was crazy. I took that clip and put it up on our.
Do you know how difficult it is to cook down on that bottom level while you guys are fighting that shit upstairs?
Every single time that we're in a Kraken attack, I've experienced. I played with my one buddy Alex months ago, and like I think maybe a few months before quarantine or something. It could be years at this point. I can't really remember, but he was like, oh, I didn't realize you could drink grog. He's like, I'm gonna go get hammered, and there's 3 of us on the ship, myself, my buddy Nate, and then Alex, and we're on this ship, and then a Kraken attacks. Those 2 are noobs. I'm experienced. And Alex starts puking like projectile vomit everywhere. He's trying to help us like scoop, but he can't move. He's like stuck in corners. He's falling all over the place. He eventually, like after 10 minutes of the battle, and we've almost sunk, he eventually, stumbles his way. He's still hammered. He just stumbles his way out of the lower decks of the ship. And he starts puking at us, like accidentally. We can't see because we have puke in our eyes. The Kraken's attacking us. I'm trying to tell them what to do because they're new. He's fucking laughing his ass off because he can't see and he's fucking stumbling everywhere and puking in all of our faces. We made it. I don't know. I don't know how. And we had a full fort's worth of loot on the ship. So it was a whole damn thing. But yeah, that's Sea of Thieves, man. It can get pretty crazy. But yeah, that's been my week.
Adriano?
I always have to write down
What? I heard you typing like we.
No, I was changing screens. I always have to like note what I put because I played Diablo 3 with you fellas. I played some Dead Cells. Finally beat a boss that I was stuck on in Dead Cells. I did some Overwatch. I did some Hearthstone, which I'm also playing right now as I talk. I went back and started the new Operation Challenge for Star Wars Squadrons. Which I think, Ryan, you said you're not even going to bother. I think you're done with them.
I was done with the last one because it was too late by the time I got in. I do like the look of this new helmet, though.
Yeah, and did some Sea of Thieves with you guys. I think I have officially retired Gran Turismo Sport. I don't think I will be going back to that game.
Aww.
I am eagerly awaiting Gran Turismo, what are they calling it, 7? On the PS5, which will probably be what will get me to buy PS5 if I'm fortunate enough to find one now, since I've sold mine. But
by the time it comes out, right?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be second quarter or third quarter. But I now have all my Gran Turismo, only games that I have out on display. Everything else is packed away. My Gran Turismo games are all on my shelf in my office. And it represents all 4 PlayStation console or generation of consoles. I'll take a picture of it and send it.
The fact that Gran Turismo takes so long to come out and the fact that I played the 3rd one first makes me feel really old.
I played the 2nd one first, and then I went back and played the 1st one, and then the
Oh my god.
4, 5, 6.
Now, do you
sports.
beat like whatever kind of campaign they got?
I get very far in the campaigns, but there's no like if you wanted to quote unquote beat a Gran Turismo, it's it's really up to you. Like your Gran Turismo is in each of us.
Oh my god. You say that too much.
But
for the audience,
that was a good
too
one,
much.
though. That was a really good one.
But pretty much there's in the main Gran Turismo games, the numerical entries, there was licenses and there were like cups that you had to go through and beat. And when you went through those, I would say you're finished. In this one, they had to tack on a campaign because people complained about it. And essentially the same thing. There were different cups, and I got to halfway point. But I also realized that the car upgrades and the way that you purchase and acquire cars it's so far different from a traditional Gran Turismo game that I'm not invested in this anymore. So I decided to retire it, and I would rather spend my time with other stuff. So hopefully Gran Turismo 7 goes back to the traditional Gran Turismo games. But maybe we'll do a stream of it one day. But that's me.
Tim?
I don't like how quiet it went when you mentioned stream and Gran Turismo.
Yeah, you're gonna have like maybe 2 people internet wide.
I don't know about that.
If I'm being honest, I still have PTSD from the damn Gran Turismo 3 licenses. I mean, admittedly, I was pretty young, but holy crap! Like, if someone mentions Gran Turismo, I'm like, can't turn, don't want to do licenses.
It's a simulator. It's not a racing game. It's a racing
but so is Forza though, and I can
no,
play Forza.
No. Don't you go to Gran Turismo people and say that Forza is a simulator.
Forza
they will
is,
laugh you out the door.
Hang on a minute here.
Laugh you out the door.
Yeah, well, you can laugh yourself to the have an attack on a campaign, but Forza Motorsport specifically is definitely a simulator.
Yes, it is. Yes,
it is absolutely literally just is a simulator. Because you have to, the only thing that I know how to do is adjust my PSI and my tires. And, the fact that you can do that in a menu filled with other things to do, and the last one that I played was 4, and the last time I messed around with the actual car tuning was in 2. 2, or maybe it was 3, but 2, I think. So, trust me, Motorsport, unless it's completely changed, is 100% a simulator.
All right, but it's a joke, really, to the GT people.
No, that's just a classic rivalry. I mean, look at no, I'm not giving that to you. Friggin' Gran Turismo Prologue. This is insane. Just release a game.
Drive Club is my favorite racing simulator.
I forgot that existed.
Then because if you really want to go, there's what was the PC one that holy fuck, the name escapes me at the moment.
The Crew?
No, it's
which is not a simulator.
No, it's Cars. Project Cars. Yeah, Project Cars is a hardcore simulator. That is way.
That's too much.
Gran Turismo.
That's too much.
That's intimidating for me.
The one that couldn't get running at
24
frames per second on Switch.
No, Switch they probably could. It was a Wii.
A Wii U.
It was a Wii. They couldn't get it past 23 frames a second on the Wii U. They couldn't get it to.
That's
film.
So good.
Yeah, film was at 24. They couldn't even get it to that.
The only simulator that we care about here is Euro and American Truck Simulator. I don't know what you guys.
Yeah, now we're talking.
People want to get into one of those.
I love them. They're on a podcast.
I tried.
Fantastic.
I tried one of them. But yeah, go ahead.
Matt, is it anything like Cross Country Canada?
Which one?
The one where it's like a truck simulator.
Well, because there's the ones I played is the old DOS one where it's a text adventure, and then there's another one called
visual ones.
Okay, so I remember playing one called Platinum, which was it had graphics basically. It wasn't a text adventure anymore. But the thing is let's say you're driving from, try to use a common thing that most people would know. Let's just say New York City to California anywhere, right? So you're driving a long haul, far. In Cross Country Canada, yes, I understand that I'm talking about America now, but in Cross Country Canada, a distance of that type wouldn't be all that long. Whereas in American Truck Simulator, if you did a distance of that length, it would be it's been a while since I played 30, 40 minutes of actual drive time. Or more.
Sometimes the hauls in that game can be an hour long, hour and a half. Depending on how good your truck is. If you have a not very upgraded truck, long hauls can take an hour for sure.
Yeah. So basically with Cross Country Canada, it was the journey was just oh, click here and go there. And it maybe it would take a few extra seconds, but it wasn't a simulation length. This is actually you have to follow the traffic laws, and sometimes you could take the off-road, and sometimes you could, or the side road, sometimes you could take the freeways or the highways, whatever, and it's you are driving that distance. Whether how realistic it would be to the real distance, I don't know, but it is, you are driving that distance.
Tim, what have you been up to?
I started playing Horizon Zero Dawn for the first time.
I saw that
on stream this week, which is pretty cool. It's a little janky. It's a bit of a janky game.
I saw you having some trouble,
right?
Yeah, I'm playing it on PC. I don't know if it's just that it's a PC port thing. But yeah, it came out in 2017, right? So it's a little bit older than a lot of the stuff I have been playing recently. But overall, I'm liking it. It's a darker story than I was expecting, which is kind of cool. But so far, the combat I really like a lot. I think it's very good. Yeah, I'm excited
better too.
Yeah, I'm excited to unlock more of the abilities and stuff. And there are some things in that game. So I have an issue with games where you don't have all of your combat abilities right away. I really don't like the style of games where like you unlock what should be just like a base ability, like a longer dodge roll, or like the ability to shoot your bow from a rope, like that kind of thing. Those just seem like a waste of skill point kind of things. I'm talking specifically about Horizon Zero Dawn in this particular instance, but like those sorts of things. Like if it's an upgrade for a pre-existing ability, like when you use your healing, you heal a little bit faster than the base speed. That's fine. But if it's something that is like a gameplay mechanic that affects how like combat works, just give me all of the abilities right away and let me learn how to use like my controls in combat and stuff in that game. Don't make it that like it starts out, the combat starts out maybe a little bit harder because you've got no abilities, and then it gets easier as you unlock the abilities. Just give me all the abilities right away and make the game a little bit harder so that I have to learn what the best way to use these abilities in each particular combat scenario is. But that's just like, for me, I don't know. I don't like when games restrict like what should be basic combat mechanics or movement mechanics behind skill trees. I find it pretty rare when a game does skill trees in a satisfying way.
I like it when the sequels of those games that make you unlock abilities have to somehow explain away your ability to not have those abilities again, and how you have to do it all over again in said sequels.
That doesn't happen too often anymore, though, right?
No,
I don't think so. I thought you were going to say when sequels, you start with all the abilities that you ended the last game with, and then you get more abilities, like in Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie.
That's too many abilities.
That was like mind-blowing as a kid. I was like, whoa, it's got all the same abilities, and I can learn more things. Like
for me, it's the other way around. It's like, oh, we need to reset the player because we're assuming that everyone's new. We have to like explain away them not having their abilities.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You just got to do the Metroid where, my suit malfunctioned and all my abilities are gone.
Mm-hmm. My magic amulet doesn't work anymore in this realm. I need a new magic
a different magic source or whatever. but yeah, the other than that, I haven't really been doing too much. I started playing a bit of Stardew Valley again, which I haven't played in like a year and a half. Because they just did like a pretty major update like not that long ago for Stardew, like maybe a month or so ago. So it's been like very popular again with a lot of my my friends and group and stuff. And it's cool. Like I definitely want to like keep going back and playing it. It's a good little game to kind of pluck away at every once in a while. And I'm trying to like actually see if I can romance somebody, because I never play that game long enough to like build up my relationship with any of the people. But other than that, I've just been hitting the WoW game pretty hard. I never really when I was playing it back in last summer when they had sort of the pre-expansion content out, like they put out the Shadowlands update for the existing content before the expansion came out, like they overhauled like all the leveling, all the zones. They did the level squish. Every class got like overhauled, and usually at least one specialization for each class was like completely changed to be different. But yeah, so just like running around and leveling and stuff has been a lot of fun. I'm like trying to play classes that I haven't played before, just to sort of see if they feel different now and if I like them more. So I've been playing a lot of a rogue character, which is really fun.
Jaina, is that a WoW rogue character?
Jaina is a WoW character, but she's not a rogue, no.
Oh, because she's rogue. They have her as a rogue in Hearthstone. When you pick a rogue class, that's who you play as.
That I have no idea why that would be the case, because she's a mage and always has been a mage.
Oh wait, am I thinking maybe no? Yeah, maybe you're right. Who the fuck is a rogue? I'm gonna boot up Hearthstone. Go ahead.
Good lord.
Yeah. Other than that, hasn't really been much, to be honest. Kayla and I play Smash every once in a while, and then beyond that, just Sea of Thieves and Diablo.
Myself, I have been playing Final Fantasy 14.
Now that's the online one. That's the MMO one, right?
That's the MMO one, yeah.
How is that in comparison? Well, actually, here's a question first. What's the one that you played with the car?
15, right?
15.
So
15.
What is the comparison? What are your... Because you were new to Final Fantasy then, so what's your take on now your first online Final Fantasy?
I haven't gotten too far into it yet. Just because I think we started playing Fallout after that. After I had just like finished the download and just booted it up and stuff. It feels like a standard MMO to me. I did meet someone friendly, and they invited me into their free company, which is like a quasi guild kind of deal. It's just a friendly way to get more XP or something like that. Not too many like strings attached. I hope.
You're paying into this thing.
I'm always afraid about guilds when like they demand you be online at certain times and doing certain things and being involved. I just want to play the game and then team up if I can. You know, a very, very casual. So that was nice. We'll see how far I get, I guess. One thing.
Have you ever played MMOs before?
I played SOTOR.
Yeah. Okay. Some people are still playing that, man. One of the people that I've like followed on Twitch for a while, but like don't typically see him streaming all that much. He's been hitting SOTOR a lot.
I probably would be playing it if the story was still canon, but since they kind of cut it off at the knees, it's just I've not really felt.
Well, most people just want to run around with a lightsaber, though.
Because I treated SOTOR as a RPG, really, a single player RPG. You know, I played it for the story. I went through the whole campaign, and I only did the multiplayer when I had to, basically, when there was like some mission I had to do with other people.
I remember playing that game with you.
Getting mad at me. Holy Christ!
What, in SOTOR?
Yeah, because they wanted me to have like a certain like ability turned on that I didn't turn on, and
you're having fun wrong, Ryan. You have to have fun by
min-max, buddy.
I had to be a certain way, and I was just like, this is horrible.
You should play WoW. It does it all for you now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I remember back in the day, like, doing dungeon runs and stuff, and I would always play a hunter because, noob plays hunter, face roll class. But I always liked hunters, like, the concept of hunters as a kid, so I'm, like, doing dungeons and stuff. And, like, as you're leveling, it's really easy to level with a hunter because you got your pet with you, and they're great for, like, mob management and kiting and things like that. And then you jump into a dungeon, and you've still got your, like, pet who's your tank, like taunting enemies and stuff to get them to like go to get the enemy's attention so you get the heat off of you, right? And then you can just do damage and your pet bear or ox or whatever is taking all the hits. And then if you forget to turn off like the auto taunting on your pet, then your pet's taking threat away from the tank, and then the threat gets all messed up in the dungeon, and then the tank gets mad at the hunter who's not paying attention and shit like that. Happened all the time, and I would always like turn it off and be like, oh, sorry, and everyone's like, man, I can't with these fucking hunter noob kids, blah, blah, this and that. And it's like, sorry, bud, I didn't realize that your entire fucking day revolved around pulling 5 more DPS in a fucking World of Warcraft dungeon. But now
he's got places to be, Tim. Come on, man.
Apparently, deeper into he's got to hit up the auction house a little bit sooner. Buy out. I don't fucking know anything. But now when you like do anything with any class, all of your stuff is just like they've taken the busy work out of it a lot. Everything is extremely streamlined in WoW these days. You go into a dungeon with a pet, and the game already just automatically turns off like auto taunting and stuff like that. It just does it all for you to prevent those things. The game is effectively playing itself. But
well, maybe I should be playing WoW.
I mean, if you like single player, if like playing MMOs in the sense of a single player RPG, this is the most single player RPG that WoW has ever been.
As an outsider to MMOs, I just find them very non-first timer friendly.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of like gatekeeping and power gaming as well.
But just the game in general is very much like just throwing information at you and expecting you to kind of just get it. And whenever you like learn something new, like this page pops up, and it's like multiple pages of text you have to read, explaining what these systems are.
It's like every minigame in Yakuza ever.
It's just they need to have me go do it and not just give me a bunch of text and then tell me to do stuff. There's this one part in Final Fantasy where they're like, oh, there's like these mentors that can teach you things. Doesn't tell you how to get a mentor. Doesn't tell you like what they do or how they take you around or whatever. They just tell you that it exists and that it's really cool, and that's it.
There's a new mechanic, or not mechanic, but I guess like way that they do it in WoW now, where when you make a new character, you can choose whether you want to start at their like racial starting area, where you originally like would start as that character, like a human or an elf or whatever. But there's this new place called Exile's Reach, which is like an island where any race can go, and they basically it's like a tutorial island is essentially what it is. So you go there and like you'll get tooltips and things popping up teaching you like not only like the mechanics of how to play the game, but specific for each class as well. So it's got the most like tutorial that the game has ever had, I would say. In years past and expansions past, they definitely just sort of like would throw you in and kind of expect you to, read a lot of dialogue and go, learn how to do things from your class trainer, etc., that sort of thing. But it's all very like, I think they know that, I mean, there's the reason that they made the level squish from 120 down to 60. Like, it's really intimidating to say, oh yeah, all the great stuff in this game, you can do raiding and stuff, and then you get all your good gear and you can explore all around the world. Oh, but you have to go through 120 levels worth of game first. Like, it's too intimidating for a new player, so they've really made it very, like, new user friendly. With this latest expansion, and I think it works fairly well. I mean, if you aren't the kind of person that likes MMOs to begin with, you're probably still not going to like the game. But I mean, like, if you're willing to give them a chance, like, it's definitely a lot more single player oriented, and like the story as well. It almost, for the first half of the expansion, it almost kind of forces you to play it single player anyway, because a lot of the areas are like phased, where you can't really see other players, because it's very focused on like the other main characters in the story, and then you're doing things with them and helping them achieve things, and then other big world events happen and cinematics happen. And it's actually, I think since I played, which is the vast majority of my playtime in this game was 10 years ago, but I don't remember seeing too many cinematics in this game where your character was actually in the cinematic.
Oh yeah.
But there's a lot of that now. There's much more of a focus on having your character like be the player in the scenario,
Right.
Well, how does like, okay, so I have a question about, so coming from Guild Wars, because that was like the one big MMO that I played a lot of, unless you count 76, but I played a lot of Guild Wars, and Guild Wars everything was instanced. So it was like the towns were instanced, and then if Ryan was in my party, let's say, and we were in a town, Lion's Arch. That's a big city in the game. So you're in Lion's Arch, and you go outside of Lion's Arch, like outside of the gate. Ryan's in my party. If he goes outside, I can't remember whether he gets pulled with me or whether he has to walk outside. Whatever, semantics. He can see me, I can see him, but it's an instanced area for our party. It's not for random people. It's not open to everyone. So the question I have though is like, so because Guild Wars was instanced, if I had a quest out there for whatever reason, it was like kill 10 beetles, I don't know, and I went to go kill 10 beetles, from my memory, and I could be wrong, but from my memory, if I killed one and Ryan killed one, we'd be at 2 out of 10. In ESO was very like, when we played it, and this was after one Tamriel, maybe like a year or two ago, and we only played it for a little bit, but basically what it was like, you show up at a town or a city, you take all the quests in the area. There's a couple mains, few side quests, whatever. You go out in the world and you go and you do those quests. But like, let's say for example, there was one where we had to blow up pirate ships, which there was one, and I run out there, right? Like, let's say that's us three. So I was playing with Aaron and Ryan at the time. So myself, Aaron, and Ryan, and we run out to the docks. There's 3 ships to destroy. I run to the first ship. I put the explosive on the ship. I run out of the ship. Fighting ensues. Whatever. Ship blows up. but Ryan is still in the ship because he has to place his own TNT. So we're not actually doing the objective together. We're doing the objective separately. Instead of it being like Aaron goes to one ship if he could handle it, Ryan goes to one ship if he could handle it, and then I go to the other ship if I can handle it, and then we just blow up all three, relatively simultaneously. It's very much like you do this, and then Ryan does this, and then Aaron does this, and we all have to, if we want to play together, for the most part. In questing, there's ways to play together in other places.
You have to achieve your each individual goals.
Yeah, is that how World of Warcraft works? Or like...
For the most part, no. Unless you're in a particular area where it's like specifically for story purposes, if you're doing like the main story of the campaign. Mm-hmm. When you're in a group and questing, everyone contributes to the same thing. Unless the only thing that I can think of where you have to actually like actively do something yourself is if you have to like loot something. But if it's something where it's like, oh, you have to each, contribute to taking these cannonballs to these cannons and firing these cannons at this fort. Every time somebody fires a cannon at the fort, whether like they carried the cannonball over themselves or if someone's running cannonballs and one person's like staying on the cannon or something like that. Everybody's contribution goes to everybody. So if you need to kill 40 rats in this area and each person kills 10 and there's 4 of you, then there you go. You've got your 40.
That's interesting.
It's only in very like select situations where usually for like story purposes or whatever that it stops you from being able to do that.
Because I remember, and like, I mean, we were puzzled. Like Aaron, Ryan, and I, we were puzzled when we were going through it. ESO, because it was like, how do we play this game? Like literally what we typed into Google was, how do you play ESO together? And some people were like, oh, some objectives will be the same, but like the quests don't look any different. Like they're not marked as like, this is a co-op quest. This just like some quests will track progress together. Other times it will be like, I think there's like dungeons and stuff like that, which obviously is 4 groups. So like that you would play together. And then end game stuff, I assume, I have never reached there, so I don't know for sure, but I assume there's like probably raids and stuff like that in the game. But like that game felt like a single player RPG, fully voiced. It was basically just Elder Scrolls, but with like a sort of MMO, like a World of Warcraft MMO like feel, where you were running around in a city and you saw everybody and everyone was running around, and like the world wasn't changing dramatically because like based on your actions, because obviously it can't, because the world has to stay relatively the same for everyone else.
Neutral because everyone, you can't.
But like, so that there's an actual point too. So there was something weird about ESO, and I think just Ryan and I did this because we played it years and years and years before One Tamriel, and we had this really weird instance where we go to a town, and the town was like apparently overrun by bandits or something. So you go in, you kill the bandits, and then you get like the people to come back. So now the people are back. That isn't an instanced area that's in the world. And basically what ended up happening was Ryan wasn't done the quest, and I was. And he was running around killing these bandits that were in amongst the people. But because I had finished the quest, the bandits were quote-unquote like the civilians now. And so he's running around effectively killing civilians on my screen, but I've actually liberated this town, so like, the game is trying to be like a single-player game in that I did affect that town. I can go back there. I can shop there. It is not hostile anymore. But I can see people running around killing these people that look like civilians to me because they're enemies to them in their phase or at their point in the game. And it's like, this is very clunky. And like people really en masse weren't complaining about it. We found very few threads about it. And I always thought, this is so bizarre. And
it really takes you out of the game. Like it ruins your immersion.
Yeah, and that's how 76 is now.
Yeah.
76 used to be the team leader, party leader used to you used to be able to help him with the objective, help him or her with the objective, whatever. Do the objective and that's it. Now it's like, no, you can go into an instanced area, like an instant story area with someone and help them fight that dungeon, but you yourself are not going to get progress on your quest if you have the same quest. Bizarre.
Doesn't seem very MMO like, does it? It's always funny to me when games are supposed to be like this particular multiplayer experience, and it's very not multiplayer friendly.
Very
multiplayer
bizarre.
is just supposed to be the raids and stuff. right? Or the dungeons and whatnot.
And like trading and seeing people in the towns, I guess.
Yeah, but just the main quest is just do it on your own.
It's very
or
strange.
play next to your friends.
Yeah, that was the worst part. Was like
next to, not with. Yeah,
because like I didn't give a crap about excuse me, the story, because it's an MMO. I didn't give a crap. So like I'm putting out the fires and doing my objectives. Put out these 4 fires. I'm done the 4 fires. Aaron's still talking to the person, and like Ryan is either like in the middle of the quest or maybe he's a little ahead of us. And it's just like, where are you? Like that would be the constant question. Where are you guys? Oh, I already put out the fires. I'm on the next phase. Well, damn, I still haven't talked to the fire chief. It's like, well, Jesus.
yeah. The desync is pretty bad.
Horrible. Like just literally not multiplayer. Like at that point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's hop into the stories for this week. First up is E3. Who here thinks E3 is going to survive?
Nope.
Not for very long. No.
I think the name E3 will survive as like a period of the year where everyone releases their shit, but the actual organization is probably done.
The spirit of E3 will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in each of us.
God damn it. So this is a new report. It says E3 2021 being planned as an all-digital event. This comes from Kotaku. So according to pitch documents obtained by Video Games Chronicle, this year's E3 might be a strictly online affair with 3 days of streaming content running from June 15th to the 17th. The documents being distributed to publishers and developers suggest a show featuring lengthy keynotes from game partners, an awards show, which I find interesting. Although, did they always have award shows, like Best of E3 kind of stuff?
I think a lot of the news outlets would do their own like
Did
post,
E3 or the ESA have their own?
I don't remember any official like,
Official
first
thing, yeah.
party stuff. Yeah.
but like all the CNETs or IGNs would just be like, who won E3,
Yeah.
like everything else.
Multiple streams from smaller developers and publishers. The show would further be supported by media previews a week prior to the event, with playable demos available across multiple platforms. Now, this does rely on game partners like Sony, Microsoft, Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, and Nintendo, because they have to be a part of it to actually make the event something. So this is what they're planning. Now, what's interesting is that a lot of these publishers and studios had their own digital events last summer, in peak pandemic, and they seem to do just fine. So do they need E3 is the question.
I like the way that that Nintendo's been doing it, and yet again, the industry kind of following along in Nintendo's footsteps, where they did their Nintendo Directs. They would just do mini sort of bite-sized, almost like press releases kind of things.
But they were still officially partnered with E3, were they not?
No,
Nintendo, no, they were doing their own thing.
I think they paid for an empty booth at the on the show floors just to retain them, but I don't think they actually ever had a presence there at a certain point.
Yeah, and I'm talking like outside of E3 time as well. Like they'll do Nintendo Directs multiple times a year, and then PlayStation started to do it as well. I honestly think these companies are big enough to support doing their own thing. They don't need to wait until E3.
They have EA Play now, which takes place at the same time, but they're no longer officially part of E3.
I mean, Sony's got their like state of play things, but they only do like 1 or 2 a year, so I don't really know if it's necessarily considered like the same kind of thing, but it kind of is. And that's probably the way to do it, because like the draw of showing off at E3 was that there were going to be a lot of people there and there were going to be a lot of people watching, but everybody's like, especially now, is just so used to consuming so much of their content online anyway.
Yeah,
you may as well just like, the people are already there, you just have to put it out.
I find it cheap. I think that's the first word I would think of when I think of like state of play and stuff. Like I don't even watch them because I just find them cheap. Like if you're gonna like put out a small, like if you're gonna put out a large like long form video, or like a live stream, whatever, at like let's say a traditional E3 presentation where EA goes one day, Nintendo goes one day, Bethesda goes one day, whatever. And this like schedule, I find that to be sort of kind of nice. It's all concise. That's where I get my hype for the year. That's where I get all my stuff. It's all there. Everything's all at once. So it's like just a really crazy time, whatever. Get all my information, know what I'm looking forward to in the year, get little bits of information throughout the year, because obviously Gaming Press runs every day. And then that's it. like to me, if you're gonna be like state of play, I'm like, well, I mean, this is just like a TikTok to me. I don't know. Like, I realize it's more than a TikTok in literal length and stuff, but to me, it's just like, well, this is just like a TikTok to me, so I may as well not watch it, because the benefit of E3 was you get, let's say, 100 game announcements, probably more, get a bunch of game announcements. 75% of those, just randomly shooting a random number outside whatever, are not going to go to plans. Like, they're going to have, like, delays, the game's going to change, they're going to be canceled, the company's going to go under, things are going to be acquired, whatever. So by getting it all at once, you're getting this, like, big bulk bunch of news. Certain survivors, like live on at varying, degrees of success, percentages of success, and that's it, right? Like, that's, to me, is, like, it just was better. But if I watch a state of play for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, 30 minutes, doesn't matter. I watch this one random state of play and get all hyped over, like, the 4 games they show off, and then two of them get canceled or delayed. I may as well have not pulled in that information, not set the time aside, I don't know, do work or, like, go watch TikTok, and then, like, just, oh, this game came out. Because it's going to be pushed in my face anyway with a bunch of advertising. Like, I don't know whether that's... I don't know. Like, I'm a little bitter about the whole E3 thing, but I also literally do think that things that are shorter are cheaper. That's just my take.
If they're shorter, though, they can... I mean, it depends what you mean, how you define cheaper. Like, if you think that the production value is worse or whatever, because it's not as big an event. Like, I would argue that a smaller event is much easier to put more polish on and have higher production value, especially when it's not live as well. It's pre-recorded video.
Yeah.
Presentation or whatever.
They
know
having
those trailers.
They know exactly what they're going to pump out instead of risking somebody trying to play something on stage and then something going wrong and then.
No, I wouldn't say cheaper in presentation. I would say cheaper in information we're getting, because games like this industry is so ripe with delays and issues and controversies and God knows what, that we're at a like the movies industry, short of COVID, would not have as many delays, at least from my experience and my understanding, as games. Games are a lot more intricate than a movie because you're obviously building everything from scratch, or you're using a lot of different technologies in different studios and blah 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 blah. List goes on, and so there's going to be like a lot of delays and stuff. And to me, it's like if I sit down and I set aside like part of an afternoon or whatever to watch State of Play, and 3/4 of that, half of that, 25% of that gets delayed. It's just sort of like, I didn't need to know this. It's the same reason why, like, I know how to build like computers and stuff like that. That's fine. But I like some people who, or a lot of people that I know that are into building computers. They keep their knowledge up all the time. I always think that's useless, because I always say to myself, I'm like, well, like, I'm not going to upgrade this year. So if I'm not going to upgrade this year, if I'm not planning on it, all of these new graphics card numbers and like all these whatever, these new marketing terms and whatever is useless to me. It's not going to help me because I'm not going to upgrade. So just seeing the shiny new toy isn't interesting to me. And I think that that's kind of what I'm getting with State of Play, where I'm like, State of Play and others, like I'm just using State of Play as the example, but others ones too, like EA Play and stuff like that, where I'm getting this like EA Play is going to show off Battlefield. Right? Like, let's say, I know Battlefield 5 is already out, so let's just say Battlefield 5 isn't out, and they show off Battlefield 5. Well, if I care about Battlefield 5, which I did before it got launched, I'll just wait for a Battlefield 5 YouTube video to come out, and I'll watch that. Closer to release, when I kind of, quote-unquote, know it's going to come out on time. Because then I have, like, the knowledge that I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy this, and, like, I want to see what it looks like. I don't know, like, if that's weird, but I just... Having it not be like concise all in one big hype period means I'm just never hyped, and so I don't care.
I think that has a lot to do with the method in which these companies like present this information, though, because like, for example, Bethesda, they announced something, it's either coming out that day or like within 3 months.
Right. Like, that's a good point.
They have their hype is a very concentrated, like short burst, just because like they usually play their cards like extremely close to their chest for like a whole development cycle, and then they'll be like, oh, so we were working on this like kind of cool new thing that nobody was really expecting, and then like, oh, here's Fallout Shelter, and people are like, oh, that's kind of cool, like it's not it's not the new Fallout game, but it's something different, it's kind of cool, it seems pretty good, and they're like, oh, by the way, it's available right now, and everyone's like, well, what the fuck? Like they always they always want to have that like big reveal. But then there's other companies that are like, oh, check out this game that we have in the works, and it's probably like still 4 years out. Like again, like Bethesda. It's like, how do you maintain hype for a game that long? Like Starfield's never going to come out.
Yeah, you're right there. Like, I really like, and this is and this is like horrible to say about a series that I like so much, but I don't care at all. I don't give a crap about Elder Scrolls 6 because it is so far out. Like, people are hyped over the title card. I'm like, okay, they're working on Elder Scrolls. Like, it's so far out. We have no screenshots. We have no information hardly. Like, who cares? Like to me, it's just like, who cares? If I were to have like forgotten that piece of information for some reason, just forgotten it completely, and have no recollection of seeing that title card or hearing about Elder Scrolls 6, nothing would be like affected. Even if I was in like Game Press, it's like, what am I going to reference? Like, Elder Scrolls 6 might come out at some point in the next 10 years. Like, like that's all we have. So it's like, who cares?
Yeehaw.
Yeah, like, yeah, and Elder Scrolls is probably coming out because it makes millions of dollars. Like, of course it's going to come out. What are you talking about? Like, of course there's going to be a Witcher 4. Whether it's called Witcher 4 or not.
Will there be?
Of course there's going to be a Witcher 4 unless CD Projekt Red collapses.
Of course there's going to be a Half-Life 3.
Right, but like, you also remember Valve also invented Steam, so that's a whole different, right? But assuming CD Projekt Red doesn't create some crazy
but they still
revenue
made
stream.
Half-Life Alyx.
I mean, that's fair too. But like, the thing is though, is like, Valve went in a different direction. CD Projekt Red, I don't think, is going to go into like game launchers.
Don't they own GOG?
Yeah.
I thought that was IGN.
No, they own the Humble Bundle.
Yeah, they own.
Holy crap! There's too many damn places to buy games.
That's
I
good.
think my problem with, or my disappointment with E3 fading is that it felt more like an event, a singular event of gaming, where you got all this news over a weekend. When it's all spread out like it was last summer, it was there was nothing really exciting. It was just like, oh, this studio's now doing their thing. It's like, oh, okay, I like those games. Oh, now like a month later, this studio's doing something. And it wasn't all concentrated, and so it just felt like a run of the mill kind of, oh, here's an announcement from a company,
I like that you called it an event, because like, we used to literally, like, anyone that was around, like when Aaron was in town, I think Tim came to a couple of them because we did it for 3-4 years in a row. Like, we'd get the pizza out, get the chips, we'd all hang out. Adriana was there, whatever. Like, whoever could pop in would pop in, and it was just like free reign. It's like, hey guys, these 3-4 days, come in to watch a conference or two, or come in for some pizza, whatever. It was just like a chill, a cool event. Now it's just sort of like, oh, State of Play, and then I don't even watch it. Like, that. I know I'm sounding like I'm ripping on State of Play, but like EA Play, like, I don't think I've watched an EA Play that hasn't been synced up with E3. And I don't, you know what I mean? Like, just
I agree that social aspect of E3 I will miss, but I don't think it's coming back.
I mean, miss that anyway, just because of like current times. But given the current times, I kind of prefer the bite-size presentations, just because it's like, now I don't have to sit through all of E3 and watch it this like whole day on Saturday or whatever, and it's all crap that I don't care about, and there's maybe 1 or 2 trailers in there that I do like. With everything being bite-sized, you already know what you're getting when you see these like YouTube videos that have been put up by Nintendo or Sony or whatever. Or it's like, oh, this Nintendo Direct is specifically about Fire Emblem, or this one is specifically about Mario, or this one is specifically about Smash Bros. Because it's like, oh, Sakurai is presenting this one. You already know what you're getting when you go into the smaller bite-sized ones. I can go past the ones that I don't care about because I'm not going to watch them anyway, and then I can watch what I want to watch, and then I can move on with the rest of my day.
What do you think then, and this is kind of a question for the floor as well, what do you think then about the Game Awards, which is now kind of more game announcements than game awards?
I personally always advocate for more awards. I understand that everyone wants the game announcements, and that's probably why most people watch and why they have such massive numbers. But I prefer it being more of an award show with the game announcements being secondary. But it's definitely become game announcements first and awards secondary.
I prefer it that way. Anything that's like an awards show just becomes too Hollywood, and it's just corporate bullshit and circle jerking.
I'm kind of split down the middle. I could go with Tim or Ryan on this one.
I don't know how to feel about the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Like I look forward to the Game Awards because it feels like that event thing.
I'll give Jeff Keighley credit. He knows how to market the shit out of it and get something off the ground. Like, he was determined to make an award show, whether we want to say it's an award show or not. He wants a branding, he wants recognition, and he wants it to be an annual thing, and that's what he's going to get done, so he can make his mark in gaming industry history.
It's fair enough. I mean, it's his baby,
Yeah.
right? It's his project.
Yeah.
That's totally understandable.
Speaking of Jeff Keighley, he actually started his own kind of summer games festival last year, and he had some announcements on there as well. So maybe he'll make a new E3. Who knows?
I wonder how many hours a week he actually plays games, or if he's so busy of a human being that he doesn't actually play games, and he has like somebody else play them for him, and they just like
A ghost player.
gives him a report at the end of the day.
God damn it!
He's actually one of the biggest subscribers to PewDiePie. Just watches
Oh, jeez.
watches Let's Players play these games, then bases his arguments off of their impressions.
God, is that real?
Yes. No.
I was gonna say,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is. Who knows?
All right, let's move on here. A potential UK console scalping ban has gathered momentum. This comes from IGN. Politicians are stepping up plans to ask the UK government to consider a console scalping ban to prevent the high levels of reselling seen for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. In late 2020, a group of UK MPs tabled an early day motion to discuss the banning of scalping and the use of automated bots for gaming consoles and computer components. The motion, led by Douglas Chapman, has now garnered 32 signatures from MPs across multiple parties. Obviously, this has become a big issue with the new console, which is still hard to get. But it's a combination of manufacturing difficulties due to COVID, and then also all these bots and scalpers scooping them up. But how would you guys feel about an actual legal ban on scalping?
I mean, there's lots of laws against a lot of things. That doesn't mean they don't still happen. They'll find a loophole.
Sure, but this will give you more power to actually try to enforce it.
Hopefully. I mean, I'd be more for it if I was like really desperately trying to get a PS5 and I just couldn't get one. But I don't need one, and so I'm not personally affected by it. But I mean, I'm trying to think of like how adding regulation to this sort of thing would be a bad thing for the consumer, but I can't really think of anything off the top of my head.
Well, to me, I feel like you should be able to sell something you own. And
That's where I'm stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
But that's different than scalping.
Yeah, like
But-
if you're scalping like 200,000 consoles,
But
1,000
the-
consoles, 500, like obviously you're a scalper. But if you bought 3 to make some money off of 2 of them and use one,
But that's the problem though. Like, you can't, like, where do you draw a line about how many is okay to do?
that's why I'm conflicted. Like I don't have the answer. I'm saying that like if you bought 3 because you were down on your luck in money and you're like, this is a way to make money, but you don't buy 500, you don't use a bot, you just get 3 legitimately.
But to
you
somebody
sell
out there, a politician, another consumer, 3 is still too many. They're going to make the argument that you shouldn't be allowed to do 3. So why
Right.
is it that 3 is okay for you, but 30 is bad? To somebody else, that dial has to be adjusted, because that like a number that you find acceptable to somebody else is not going to be acceptable.
I have a
So,
problem.
like,
I have a problem
where
with
do you
the
draw?
with meddling in like. It feels like rich people move a lot more volume than scalpers do, and nothing of theirs gets touched. Like I feel like a lot of like ever since this like GameStop stock thing, like I just feel as though it's weird when it's like somebody smaller makes some money and it's like, wait a second here, hang on a minute. You said how many millions? I don't give a fuck about the trillion over there. How many millions? 10 million to the guy in the suburb? Fuck him. Like that's where then I start getting like, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know whether this is like an attack on that, whether it would benefit. Like, I don't have the answer, to be clear, but I just feel as though it's like, I don't know. I don't have
Is that
the
happening though, in this case?
What?
Is that happening in this case?
Well, like, it's bizarre to me that they're freaking out over computer components. Like, since when has a politician cared?
This is where I fall on this scalping. Not just for video games, for consoles, for anything. Like the graphics card would fall under this as well, or the fucking, I don't know if you guys heard about the Pokemon anniversary packs that were being released. Yeah, and
I hate that. I don't like that.
Like that is bullshit. But this is where I fall on it. You have a right to sell what you have for how much you want. Like, there shouldn't be anyone to tell you that you can't make money on something you own. I feel like you should have the right to buy as many as you can in the moment if you have the ability to do it. I don't think you should be allowed to have automated systems do it for you.
I like that.
If you want to go out and get those 30 PS5s and sell them, and you do the labor, or you pay your workers to go do that labor, I think you're okay to do that, because you're paying a set rate to go and get that money, and you're going to sell it to not only pay those people or pay that system, but then make money on top of it. But as soon as you manipulate a system to do it for you, I think that's where you can't, where it's wrong.
You know, one of the biggest problems with this is simply the supply. You know, this wouldn't be an issue if they could pump up the supply.
Yeah, but we all like.
I mean, things do fall in supply. Like, there's nothing we can do. There's a pandemic. They're being shipped overseas because, I believe they're all being made in China. I would assume. I don't know. So it's like they have to be shipped overseas. There's like a whole like logistics channel. It has to get into retailers. The retail, you know what I mean? Like, it's a whole logistical chain.
The pandemic does make things different, but every time something popular launches that's new, it sells out immediately. And it's like, how come the companies haven't figured this out yet to have enough supply to meet the demand? And
they probably want to be in the news.
But here in this case, and this happened to graphics cards like 2 years ago, when you couldn't find them anywhere, like you can't find them today, you know. And it's like they would say that we're trying to fix this, but they didn't. And then it happened to them again. So they learned nothing from last time. You know, but now maybe the pandemic is screwing them over this time. That's perfectly fair.
But with the GPUs though, there's also a whole new industry of like Bitcoin mining and various like cryptocurrency things with GPUs. So like the demand itself has kind of skyrocketed. Now I do like Adriano's solution of manual labor, of like you having to go out and like you do it, but having an automated system buy 10,000. No. And like maybe having a limit as well. Like a lot of retailers did put a limit of 1. So like that would help a lot as well. Like, to be clear, I'm not a fan of there being like a scalper group, and I wouldn't be like out there scalping consoles like crazy, buying, 50 consoles just to screw people over or anything. Like, I wouldn't be doing that. But like, I just don't like how every single time there's like an issue like this, it just seems like this is a small issue overall, and then like it's like I think this is an overreaction. I think regulation's an overreaction to this particular situation.
I think banning it's such a fucking tough one too. Like the concept of scalping is dirtbaggish, but then when you break down the individual elements, like I have a water bottle here. And like, what is different from a guy in a tour city selling a bottle of water for an inflated amount outside of like a major tourist attraction for $5 a bottle?
That's a good point.
It's like how are those, like how come we're not cracking down on that and saying, well, you can't do that. So like. The idea of just like, well, yeah, you can't scalp these consoles. It's like, no, I can do, like, what's the statute on that? If I buy them and sit on them for 5 years, then are you guys going to complain if I sell them later? Like, do I need to sell them for exactly what I bought them for you guys not to complain? I think the methods that they're using to obtain these consoles, I think, is very dirtbaggish. But they're allowed, like, you know my hardcore, my hardcore way of, like, if it was up to me, I'd say everything has to be government regulated. You wanna buy this console from GameStop? You have to have a government ID. Then they're going to take your information, and then they send that, and Sony and Microsoft have to house that information. And then when they see that somebody has multiple of those each ones, and then they can start cracking down the whip.
Because governments have never been,
Yeah.
mistreating information ever.
Matt, you had asked why like the government cared about this. The guy Chapman was asked how this asked why this process began. He explained that the impetus to begin the debate in Parliament came directly from his constituents in Dunfermline and West Fife. He says the issue of scalping first came up with the constituents contacting me to explain their frustration about being unable to get a hold of certain games, consoles, or computer components pre-Christmas. On investigation, we uncovered more details of the unscrupulous practice of scalping by automated bots to bulk buy these goods and sell them at inflated prices.
So, like, it's possible that he is going to be targeting just the bots. Now, you said there's something being drafted or tabled at this point or something.
I believe he, yeah. I think they went forward on something.
But regardless, like, if it's going against the bots, I'm fine with that. Until, like, robots become more common. I think that's fair because, like, right now, it's like we don't send robots to buy our daily goods on Amazon. We just do it on our phones. So I think I'd be okay with that. I just feel as though this is weird to have a government intervention over like graphics cards and consoles. This is like very strange to me.
It's because it's so recent and prominent. Like,
what are they getting out of doing that?
Yeah, I was going to say, usually they only intervene once they can make money.
Like, they're making their sales tax, depending on jurisdiction, whether you have sales tax or not in your country, but, like, they're getting their sales tax from every single one, unless something greasy's happening. They're getting their sales tax. Now, maybe that's the problem, is they're getting their sales tax on initial sale, but not the second sale, potentially. That's maybe what they're like, hey, wait a second. Where's my 13% of the second sale?
No,
I'm not so cynical.
Yeah.
I mean, no, but why do they care then?
Because it's a thing that people are crying out about and saying that this isn't right, and they're looking into it and saying, is this right? That's why they're doing it.
This guy did acknowledge that the bill is unlikely to pass because MPs outside the ruling government party rarely see bills become law.
So this is just a waste of time.
Oh no, he's hoping that the action will force the government to take responsibility for the ongoing issue.
I don't know. It's weird.
It gets the conversation started, basically.
I think this is something that we, the people, can self-police. I don't think we need government to help us buy PlayStation 5.
How do we stop someone?
I think that Best Buy did a good job. I think that Best Buy did a good job when Best Buy the second time for the Xbox Series X. So like the second time meaning the PlayStation came out first. Is that correct? Yes, for the pre-orders. That's what I'm thinking. Like the second, because we had secured a PS5 pre-order from Best Buy. I don't know how that worked because I just got it in a panic. The second time for the Xbox Series X, it was a scheduled pre-order window, and I like added it to my cart. Whatever, the site was acting up, and it just held my spot in line for literally like an hour and a half, and then I was able to check out. I mean, like. A bot, like, maybe the bot's going to hang on. I don't know. I've never built any of these automated systems, never seen them. But, like, that, to me, it's like, limit one per customer, blah, 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 blah. Here's, like, buy your warranties, buy all this stuff, put it in the cart. Oh, our site's messed up. We'll just wait in line. So maybe there's something where it's like, first of all, we're already self-policing it. The limit one per is policing, stuff like that.
Yeah, but the problem is there are people using bot systems to generate email addresses to do that over and over again. Like, there are systems in place to abuse that system as well.
Let me ask you this though. Okay, let's take it out of the console market. Let's take it into something like essentials. grocery stores and other department stores, at least around this area, they had a shortage of toilet paper and a shortage of other supplies during the beginning of COVID-19 due to panic buying. Fine. One of the people that was getting hurt the most were seniors, specifically seniors that, weren't in a retirement home, that were, just living and going and get the groceries like normal. So we self-policed, and we, or not we, because I don't own a grocery store, but the department stores and grocery stores self-policed, and they said, okay, that's it. 6 a.m. or whatever it was, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., 1 or 2 hours before anyone else can come in the store. If you're a senior, you can come in, buy your stuff. We have limits on certain essentials. Why wasn't the government involved then? Those were essentials, not consoles. Now I understand we're talking about the UK, we're not talking about here, but the point is we self-police that. It got under control in 3 weeks, and then it's over.
That's a physical retail space, though. You can't really do anything about someone else using bots on some other site and taking up all the supply of PlayStations.
Right, but the self-policing could be that Canada Computers, for example, various, I'm sure, electronic retailers in the UK, I would assume, because we're all in different stages of COVID, are probably doing curbside pickup, depending on however they're handling that. And they could put 10 of the 20 online, and then they have 10 in store. It's there's a self-policing method. There's a way to do this. A bot isn't going to come running in like a surrogate, friggin' Bruce Willis come running in and buy all the 10 GPUs and run off from curbside pickup. It's going to be people showing up to buy the 10.
Why Bruce Willis specifically?
Yeah,
I also wonder if this problem isn't as big of a problem in normal times, and just because the supply constraints are making it worse because of COVID. You know what I mean? Maybe bots were buying all sorts of different things. I'm sure bots buy a bunch of iPhones every year and whatever else, right? But because they can meet the supply, or the demand rather, it's not that big of an issue. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they do. Do they sell out of iPhones? There's a question.
Yeah,
Do they?
Yeah.
They do sell out of iPhones?
It took me a couple months to get mine, yeah.
I was listening to another podcast, and somebody brought up a good point when they were talking about specifically the stock market, where you had hedge funds and people constantly trading, and he goes, I was always kind of interested in that until I read a story once of companies even buying up real estate close to data centers and servers where the transactions where they knew they were going through, so they could have shorter run times from their offices and their computers doing those transactions on the cabling, so they could get milliseconds of transactions faster than anyone else. And he goes, when I read that was when I said I was out. I'm not dealing with this. This is just a broken system if they can just cheese it like that. And that's it's kind of what I feel like when it comes to bots and online stuff.
Well, I remember Ryan and I don't remember what stock exchange it was. I think it was some sort of alternative to the New York Stock Exchange or something like that.
It was a little guy. Yeah.
It was a little guy.
No frills.
And what the guy did, there was a guy there doing a tour of the office, and he had this huge ass metal spool thing. And it was what the hell is this, right? In the tour. And it's what it is, these computers or these people, whatever, these big investors, they're buying it so quickly, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, so quickly that, I forget what he said. It's the market couldn't correct or something like that, whatever. And so he's we have X amount of kilometers or however long it was of cable to slow the signal down in the office. We have this huge spool of cable, a huge industrial spool of cable, just to make it so as if the cable run is longer artificially, even though it could be shorter, to stabilize the buy sell and all that craziness. Well, and it's holy crap.
What the big guys were doing were they could see when you made a purchase of a stock, right? They could buy the stock before your transaction actually went through, and then sell it to you at a higher price. It was something like that.
Because
they were dealing in
bullshit.
milliseconds.
And yeah, that's allowed, but we're worried about PlayStation 5. Oh man.
All right, let's move on to the casting news. We got 3 casting announcements here. Jack Black is going to be playing Claptrap in the Borderlands movie, so he'll be joining Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, and Jamie Lee Curtis. This is an odd cast of characters.
Who is Jamie Lee Curtis playing?
Tannis.
Okay, that's a good one. I like that.
Sorry, who's Tannis in Borderlands?
She's the crazy lady.
She's like the short-haired scientist kind of lady.
Scientist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Oh, I was actually about to call her by her label, but I realized that's a spoiler for Borderlands 3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett is playing Lilith, and Kevin Hart is Roland, and Claptrap is now Jack Black. This comes from GameSpot, and according to Lionsgate president Nathan Kahan, he said in a statement that the casting Jack Black for Claptrap was one of the biggest no-brainer casting decisions we ever made.
What? Okay.
And he said we couldn't have been more in sync with our filmmakers and casting executives as we approached this role. Everyone who's ever played the game knows Jack Black is perfect for this role. We're thrilled he will add his endless comic energy and voice to our film. He'll bring so much to the movie.
I
would not
hope
have
there's
guessed
like
Jack
a
Black for
singing
Claptrap.
scene. I really hope that they do that. I hope they just whip out the Tenacious D, and he just gets like honestly like a little bit too long of a spotlight for whatever he's gonna sing, like to the point where it's like just getting awkward, and then it ends. It's gonna be great.
I like your comment to the other day, Ryan, when he said, "Why not just get the voice actor who does Claptrap to do Claptrap?"
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It's so they've had two though. They replaced him in 3. Remember?
Oh yeah. Which, to be honest, last time we played Borderlands, I've already forgotten what the original Claptrap sound like.
He probably sounds weird if we went back.
Yeah.
Oh, the original Claptrap.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same one in 1 and 2, right?
1 and 2 is the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So I won't even know what the 1 and 3 sounds like at all.
The first couple times you play 3, you're like, okay, I hear the difference, and then it gets a little weird, and then by the time like your 4th, 5th sitting, it's like, oh, I've completely forgot what the other.
Yeah,
What gets
Claptrap
weird?
now.
Like it gets.
I don't know.
Weird.
At one
God, it's so
point,
weird.
at one point, like the first time we played it, it was like, it's different. I hear it's different. I'm okay with this. And then it got to, it's different, and I don't know how I feel about this. And then eventually it just turns into, it is different, but I forget what the original one sounds like, so it doesn't matter anymore.
I love there's a story that Jack Black told about when he was voicing Kung Fu Panda, and he was doing press in China, but the Chinese version of the movie had a different voice actor for the Chinese vocals, and they were wondering why Jack Black was there. So I don't know if Jack Black can do a Claptrap though.
It's just going to be Jack Black though. Like,
You'll have to stay tuned to his
yeah,
YouTube
like,
channel.
Like that's all it's going to be.
But Claptrap's a very different personality type than they're both
Oh,
crazy, but
I
they're
also-
different.
I also
in
don't think
their...
they're going to honor any of the very surface level
Oh, no.
personality traits that they put into Borderlands. Like they're not super in-depth characters in Borderlands to begin with. They're just going to be basic frameworks for those actors to work off of.
I don't want to be ageist, but aren't Kate Blanchett and Jamie Lee Curtis a little old for those characters, or no?
I was going to say Kate Blanchett could probably still get away with it. Jamie Lee Curtis probably. Like Kate.
I'm not sure how old they're supposed to be in the game. To be fair.
Yeah, cell shading doesn't help. Because Kate Blanchett, last thing she was in was Thor, right?
Well, I think she's done other things, but
Yeah, but that's the last thing. Like
the last nerdy
yeah,
thing.
Yes, that's that our main audience would be able to reference to. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. When I heard that, I'm just like, really? Like maybe like a True Lies 1994 Jamie Lee Curtis would have been worked fine, but yeah, well, we'll see.
Well, when is this in the timeline?
Opening night.
I'll go.
I'm going to assume that this is not connected to the games in any sort of canonical way, and it's just going to be its own interpretation of Borderlands.
I was going to say, if it's later in the timeline, if these characters are too old, too young, whatever, later or earlier, then it would be, makes sense. But
Well, based on the character choices and the ones they've announced, you know what? I'm not going to get into that.
is that spoiler territory, or is it just like
Yep.
a sensitive topic for you? Like you just really want to see the Borderlands movie?
I'll go see a Borderlands movie just because I want to go back to the fucking theater.
I'll see
like
it.
I have
Yeah, I don't
serious movie theater withdrawal. That's why I will go see Air Bud in theaters.
I'm not going to see Air Bud.
If I could go back to a fucking theater,
I'm drawing the line at Air Bud. I'm not watching Air Bud.
I would go see Air Bud.
You somehow went to my line. Like I didn't have a line. Then you're like Air Bud, and I was like, no fucking way. I'm not going to see Air Bud. Like the first thing out of my thoughts, I was like, no, that's it. Over.
The Air Bud cinematic universe.
Well, I mean, there is Air Buddies and all the rest of them.
All right. Other casting announcements we have. These come from GameSpot. HBO, their Last of Us, has cast Pedro Pascal as Joel.
What an interesting choice, man. When I saw the announcement for that, I was like, man, that is just like I would never in a million years have picked him.
You're right, but a lot of people seem happy with this choice.
I mean, he's an absolute powerhouse, so like
he's super popular right now because of The Mandalorian.
Is that Officer Pena guy? I don't know actors' names, just to let everyone know.
Yeah.
Okay, Officer.
He was in Game of Thrones.
Prince Oberyn. What a good character.
Wait, who is he playing? Joel?
He's playing Joel, yeah.
I mean, I've only seen him in Narcos, and I'd give that a thumbs up. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he can pull it off, I think, for sure. It's just like an out of left field kind of choice. Like I would have never put it on like my short list of actors to play Joel, but I do enjoy the casting.
I mean, he has a pretty good transition in Narcos from like, and this isn't a spoiler, just like during like the being a professional like in the office to being sort of like kind of depressed and down in the off time just because of his like really difficult job and stuff in the movie or in the show. So I mean, I think he could pull off a Joel really well if he can kind of do that same sort of like transition. You know what I mean?
To see him in makeup will be really good.
Yeah. I didn't even play Last of Us, but I give that a thumbs up. Give that cast a thumbs up.
Because Joel's going to be a lot
Last
older, right?
I played the first one only.
Yeah.
So I mean,
you're halfway through the.
So you've seen Joel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know who he is. Oh yeah.
And what? Who's playing Ellie?
A star by the name of Bella Ramsey, who was from Game of Thrones as well.
Oh.
She played Lyanna Mormont.
But in the later two seasons? Because you asked me if I met this character, and I don't think I've met her yet, because I haven't finished the show.
She said the North in a very particular way.
It's not the Jon Snow girl. I love you, Jon Snow.
No, she's the little girl that from the North that like was the head of the house. She was like the child leader, the little badass.
What season do you meet her in though? 7 or 8.
Later one. It's the later one.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't even met her yet. I gave up on that show. I didn't.
After hearing about the last season.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I should catch up. And then all the hate. I'm just like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to do this. Maybe I'll just call it here.
Honestly, best thing I ever did was say like, I'll watch the show when it's over, and then it ended, and everyone hated it, and I was like, thank God, because I am not even gonna touch it now.
It's a good show, man. Like outside of the last season, it's still absolutely worth watching.
I don't know much about her as an actor. I don't know much about her as an actor, but I have no complaints there either. I saw people online complaining about that she doesn't look like Ellie.
You don't need to visually look like them.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Character,
I know.
Fucking schmucks.
So
it's like you also can't exactly look like a video game character either because it's not a real fucking person. Like,
well, I was actually about to ask, did they like face capture Joel and Ellie, or are they not based on real actors?
I think it was hand done animations in the first game, but then the second game was definitely like tons of mocap.
Okay.
I mean, Ellie in the second game definitely has a resemblance to God, I'm forgetting her name. The actress who played her, but she does have a bigger resemblance.
Ashley Johnson?
That's it.
Not really.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
In the second game?
No, I can't see it.
Wow. Okay. All right. I think she looks closer to her because they were doing the actual face matching and they had to change kind of bone structure and whatnot.
Well, it's easy to explain away when she's like 6 years older. No, like 10 years older. Just like growing up, right? She's obviously gonna look different from when she was a kid, but
actually, it's only like 5 years, I think.
Is it 5 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, still.
Yeah, but whatever. However, like there's that pivotal point in her life. Like she does go through that.
Yeah, it's like 14.
Like those are 5 important years. Though.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm super excited for this show. Last of Us is probably my favorite video game franchise. So, and the person writing it is they have Neil Druckmann from Naughty Dog who helped co-create The Last of Us, and they have Craig Mazin who wrote Chernobyl, which was one of my favorite TV shows.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's gonna be pretty good.
Man, it's just so goddamn dark. Kayla and I like struggled to get through it because it was just so fucking depressing to watch.
I'm trying to get Matt to watch it.
Oh my god, it's so depressing.
Okay, this is the scenario. This is the scenario with Chernobyl. You were telling me all about it. I asked you if there was a bunch of gross scenes. You're like, oh yeah, that was your actual answer. Oh yeah,
oh yeah.
And then I remember in the pre-COVID era, I went over to your house to like film to record in the studio, and we go to record. And your mom and your sister are like talking about Chernobyl, or they're watching it. I don't remember.
No,
anyway.
I remember. I remember they had it on the TV.
Yeah, they had it on. They paused, and I was like, "Oh, is that Chernobyl show?" And they both told me, like through the conversation, that it was really disgusting, and the biggest one for me was it changed their lives. And I was like, "For the better?" And they're like, "No." And I was like, "Okay, I'm out." Like immediately, I'm out. I'm done. That's it.
Matt, it's on my Plex. You can load it up tonight.
I'm out. This was Shark.
You've watched
this was Shark Tale.
You've watched all manner of TV shows and movies and stuff with certain amounts of darkness and gore. Why is this one?
Because it's
like,
real.
off the table.
Because it's based on a real thing.
Oh, really?
Like when I watch Band of Brothers, like I feel bad after. It's like Jesus, like this is pretty bad.
Right.
But if it's like an action hero and they get all beat up, it's like it's gross. I might wince, but it's like that was a fake scenario.
All right, I can understand that.
All right, our final story for the week. CD Projekt Red unfortunately suffered a cyber attack, and source code was stolen for Cyberpunk, Witcher 3. I think they also said Gwent. This one comes from IGN. So the company announced the attack on Twitter, noting its internal systems had been compromised and that the hackers had left a ransom note. The ransom note was released to the public alongside the announcement, and it claims that the hackers have dumped full copies of the source code for Cyberpunk 2077, Witcher 3, Gwent, and the unreleased version of The Witcher 3, presumably next-gen version coming later this year. The hackers also claim to have access to all of the company's documents related to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more.
Oh my lord.
The ransom note ends by noting that CD Projekt Red has 48 hours to contact the hackers, or your source code will be sold or leaked online, and your documents will be sent to our contacts in gaming journalism. Your public image will go down the shitter even more, and people will see how shitty your company functions. That's how they wrote it. Investors will lose trust in your company, and the stock will dive even lower.
And what were they hoping to get from CD
Actually, yeah.
Projekt
What are they demanding?
Well,
yeah,
it's a ransom.
but like they said, contact us.
They're holding their information, so that it would basically be that we'll give you your information back, or not release it.
Yeah, but like, what do they? But what would CD Projekt Red have to do to get them not to do that? Like, what is it they were looking?
Probably
to
pay
get?
Bitcoin or something like that.
Oh, it just says contact them. They need to contact them within 48 hours. Then I guess they'd say what they wanted. What
Bring a bag of money to the third abandoned floor of this building. God.
So CD Projekt Red did not adhere to the demands. They did not contact them. They simply posted the announcement and then posted the ransom note. And now it apparently appears that their information has been sold on the dark web.
All right, so they're playing hardball here. So they're telling the truth. Yeah. I like how the ransom note was a README file, just left in a directory for them to
find.
Yeah. I got no comment on this.
Speaking to IGN, Victoria Kivilevich, a threat intelligence analyst at Kila, explained that it appears all of the files stolen were sold in a single package. It's unclear who the buyer is or what they intend to do with the files at the time of writing. It's also unclear what price the files were sold for, but reports yesterday indicated an upfront purchase price of $7 million.
Oh,
and so apparently this was set up as like an auction, which required a deposit to enter, with starting bids at $1 million, moving up in $500,000 increments.
Holy shit.
You know what
Who cares this much?
You know what the twist would be, though? What if this is a competitor?
What if it was CD Projekt Red that went in and bid their own stuff back?
That
What
would be awesome.
Genius.
That'd be awesome.
Wait, did they sell it themselves too to make money?
No, they bought it. They bought what? It would just be like buy sell.
Oh,
like,
they're
what?
the buyers. Oh,
Yeah. What if they were the buyers, the silent buyers?
You know how to get into the dark web?
Yeah, man, Tor browser. It's easy. I mean,
he's not wrong. I mean, he's not wrong.
I look forward to all the inevitable like YouTube comparison videos saying like, oh, this is the original version of The Witcher 3 and this is what we got, and they're gonna like all the dissection of the early versions of the games that are gonna be.
Who fucking cares? Like, Jesus.
The investor relations might be a thing though, right?
Yeah,
people have too much time.
But the public at large won't care about that stuff though.
No, unless it's like something crazy. Like, what if it's some sort of scandal? I mean, if it was a big enough scandal, CD Projekt Red would have probably just, contacted them and paid whatever they were asked.
Well, I think you're supposed to contact the authorities. I mean, they're probably doing the right thing here. They don't want this to happen again.
No,
right?
I'm not
they show that
criticizing
they're not playing ball,
No, but I mean, like, if they're what I'm saying is like the investor relations and those type of information could be what the person that purchased it on the dark web was after. What I'm saying is what if there's a scandal in there? But I said there probably isn't one that's too bad, because if there was, then CD Projekt Red would have just shut up and just contacted these guys and then paid them.
Yeah.
So
if
there's
that got
probably
found out,
nothing.
though, that'd be worse.
That it would be real bad for them if it was found out. But like I would assume that like the only thing that sucks, well, I mean the whole situation sucks, but the only thing that really sucks is probably the amount of work hours put into all that source code.
Did they steal the source code? Like, is it gone, or is it they have a
No.
copy of it?
They said they have a backup.
They have a backup. They said because in the thing they said we have something, but chances are you're just going to get a backup of it anyways.
Right. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like all they're doing is pretty much giving the option to people to look at the game.
All right, that's all we got for this week. Tim?
Hey. You can, if you like video games,
Wow, that was
which
incredibly well paced.
which you may or may not like, I'm streaming Horizon Zero Dawn 4 days a week, twitch.tv/yeahthatfigures. And sometimes jokes are funny.
Sometimes jokes are funny, like not your jokes.
In general, yeah.
Yeah, just
I'm not funny, but sometimes jokes are funny,
And we're streaming Sea of Thieves on twitch.tv/DamonPatchMedia.
Yeah, Sea of Thieves. I'm so
We got
happy
it
to be back in that
working.
game.
We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, we will.
peace.